Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Teo here, playing some Siren Simulator 2004, 2006? Somewhere in the early noughts. Saying that, I jetted out of the room. Wait, I'm coming too, I'm coming. I dashed out of the infirmary. I looked to the left and the right. Coco, trailing behind me, grabbed and squeezed my hand. Takipyong, what are we gonna do? Coco sounded scared. For now, we'll go to where everybody else is. I pulled along Coco as I ran. I headed for Dritta Stock. I descended the stairs in a blur. I peeked in the control room. Okay, so I'm no longer, like, invested in any of the overarching mysteries. Like, what's going on with Coco in the kids' roots, like, what happened to Takeshi after the end of his roots, what's the relationship between Takeshi and the kids' roots. Actually, the only mystery I'm interested in at this point is, like, when is the siren gonna stop? Because if it doesn't, I'm gonna kill someone. Like, in real life. No one was there. Picking up water, I sprinted down the corridor. The alarm was still blaring. I strained to listen. Wait, the alarm was still blaring? I couldn't have possibly picked up on that. I didn't hear the sound of seawater rushing in or the sound of the partition squeaking under pressure. But there was something that I had heard in the gaps between the siren. It sounded like rain. Like water droplets pouring down on water and the sound of the wind cutting through the sky. What is that sound? A winded Coco asked me that. We were getting closer to the sound of the rain. A low sound, it undercut the sound of the siren. Left of the corridor stood a gaping entranceway. Dashing into it, our eyes met with a surprising sight. Hey, it stopped! We won! We did it! We beat Ever17. A mass of droplets were showering down from the ceiling. It was the rest area. The whole area was obscured in a fine mist. And smack in the middle of it... Sora! Sora was shining like a rainbow. We worked our way towards Sora through the rain, trying to avoid the moisture as much as possible. Coco and I were already drenched. Sora, what in the world? Sora looked up at the ceiling. I followed her gaze and looked upward. Among the countless particles of mist, something was faintly visible on the other side. Sprinklers. Sora just laughed. She didn't try to answer. Just then, hey, what's happening? You frantically came running into the room. She was holding a fire extinguisher in her hands. She'd already removed the safety pin, had the nozzle aimed, and was ready to let loose with it. It was a pretty clumsy-looking attempt. I apologize for unduly causing you worry. I felt sorry for them, so I... Felt sorry? Sora turned her gaze to the flower beds on the ground. Was this all just to water the flowers? Wait. So the only way she could think of to turn on the sprinklers was to, like, light something on fire to, like, proc the fire alarm? That's hella funny! I mean, you have to give her points for ingenuity. And then you have to detract points for intentionally setting off the fire alarm, but, you know, I think she probably still ends up out positive. Like, with the pluses and the minuses and such. But, I don't know, it's pretty close. Sora just smiled. She didn't try to explain. There isn't a fire or an explosion or anything like that. Correct. I'm very sorry. No, you're not. But Sora's face didn't look like she was sorry. Rather, it looked like Sora was enjoying the droplets showering down from the sprinklers. Jeez, don't scare me like that. The monitor in the security room gave a fire alarm, so I came running. You replaced the nozzle of the fire extinguisher in the safety pin. Well, at least it was nothing serious. Better than the alternative. I suppose. Yeah? Coco, you and I heaved a sigh and sat down where we were. The sprinklers hadn't stopped. Sora staring at the flowers with a look of pity. It looked as if the grass and flowers were dancing, reveling in the newfound moisture. Hey, what happened to Kiddo and Pee-Pee? I looked around the room. I saw them. The kid and Pee-Pee were still running around the statues. It's raining, it's pouring. Uff, uff. The old man is snoring. Ow! I'm singing in the rain, because I like the rain. Is that how that song goes? It's been a while since I've watched Singing in the Rain. Like, almost a decade, I think. Ow, ow! Delicious rain, gulp, gulp, gulp. What a glorious feeling, but I don't want to catch a cold. Like, I think the what a glorious feeling part is actually from the song, right? But I don't want to catch a cold I do not think is from the song. Again, I would have to watch the movie again to be sure, or at least listen to the song, but I don't think that's quite how it goes. Oh, wait, actually, I think I have listened to the song more recently. Like, Kara no Kyokai is one of my favorite shows, and that song features prevalently. So I probably have listened to it more recently than, like, when I watched Singing in the Rain originally, which was, like I said, probably, like, a decade ago. Huff, huff. I'm gonna get you now. It's an acid rain shower. It is? I don't think it is. I think if it was, we would have serious problems. I'm singing in the rain, what a glorious feeling. The kid and Pee-Pee running about in the downpour, screaming out joyfully. It went beyond playfulness, it was close to pathological. I wonder if the kid has finally taken the plunge off the deep end. I clasped my hands together as if praying for his recovery. Rain, rain, don't go away, don't come again some other day. Not a sprinkle, but a shower, an excuse to get drenched and skip school. What is... Yeah, I'm with Takeshi now. I'm starting to become legitimately concerned about the kid's mental well-being. What? Gulp, gulp, gulp. Delicious rain, used to make beer. What are these things that are coming out of his mouth? It doesn't make any sense. But if I drink it, the police will come. What? Oh, time to run, gotta escape. Don't forget the umbrella. I'm a kid, and I'm the rain boy, but the rain can't get me. You know what? I'm gonna stop thinking about it, thinking it is causing me grief and discomfort, so I'm going to stop thinking about it. Rain, rain, sweet rain, come again another day. Didn't you just tell it not to come again another day? It's raining. I was sitting on the top of the whale's nose. Wait. Okay, so we're back to the kid. Point of view. Right, blue text box. Got it. Sarah was beside me. She covered her head with her hand to keep the droplets from getting her hair wet. Rain? You know it's not rain, don't you? It's just the whale blowing out water. I know that. I know it, but it looks like it's raining to me. Water, misty and drizzling, poured upon us from the sky. The stars reflected lights from the water droplets and emitted vibrant colors. We were in the cosmos. The whale was alive. At least it seemed that way to me. I really hope the whale is not alive. A whale swimming in the starry sky. His back surging like a wave, he undulated again and again. His soft mouth opened and closed, and even puffed up time to time. About every 3 minutes, he blew out a warm breath through his blowhole. A seawater mist of spray would scatter around the area. Sitting at the tip of his nose, Sarah and I bobbed up and down in time with his movements. Although, he undulated so slowly that we could let go with our hands and still feel safe. Again, guardrails. Guardrails. Like, from what I understand, like, half of Limu is a lawsuit waiting to happen. Like, there's an attraction that's up God knows how many feet in the air, like 20, and it just doesn't have handrails. Like, there are stairs going up to the top of the whale, right? So presumably it is meant as an attraction, like, presumably you are meant to be able to walk on it. But there's no handrails, and it's up, like, at least however tall a whale is from the ground. Which strikes me as, like, deeply unsafe. Like, pretty sure they are breaking all sorts of regulations here. Maybe they're in, like, international water, so they don't have to care. That would be funny. It was like a cradle rocking back and forth. On the back of the whale, we sailed through the cosmos. Sarah took the lighter from her pocket and lit it. The shimmering flame colored her face red. She had the pendant in her other hand. The pendant was shaking in Sarah's small hand. It was the same one she had shown me in the small room in the warehouse. Hey, Sarah, I'm gonna ask you again, but who's the man in the pendant? And I already told you, right? What, that he's from the sun? Yeah. She handed me the pendant and the lighter, and I stared at the image closely. It goes without saying, but he seemed to look like a normal person. I had no idea how people from the sun were supposed to look, but the man in the image at least had the face of an earthling. I'm pretty sure she's fucking with you, dude. Like, my expert opinion on sun people. Yeah, no, I don't know where I was going with that. He looked like any ordinary young man to me. Are you serious? He's from the sun? I asked her. You're so gullible, kid. What? There's no such thing as people on the sun. Do you honestly think that life could exist on that ball of fire? You were lying to me? I wouldn't call it lying. I was joking with you. You know, giving you a hard time. You were lying. What's that supposed to mean? Well, what do you think it means? Sarah stretched out her arm and put out the lighter. The darkness spread across the cosmos. I put the lighter and the pendant together, returning them to her. Just then, Sarah slid down the back of the whale without a word. I'm deeply concerned for her safety now. I hastily followed suit. Unless it's like a slide? That would be kind of cool, actually. You can only see the image when you're outside. It's made in a way that it's only visible under sunlight. That's why I said he was a sun person. Oh, that makes some sense, but not that much sense. I'm still pretty sure you're a crazy person. Sarah stood next to the whale and started talking. When I was young, I really believed it, though. I used to believe that you can only see it with sunlight because it was made by people who lived on the sun. And that because I had this pendant, I was one of their children. And that I was sent to Earth on some kind of mission. I used to imagine stuff like that. Looking back on it now, I know those were just really, just childish fantasies. No, wait a second, Sarah. We're 103 feet underwater. Where is there any sun? Sarah interrupted me and lit the lighter. Light filled the space around us. A flickering flame. Despite the insignificant size, a red the color of a sunset shone upon the dome-shaped ceiling. A flame. Even without the sun, you can see it if you got a lighter. It took me a long time to realize it, though. I guess I was 10 or 11 or so. Really, sunlight or a flame, huh? But still, even if there is sunlight or flame, there are some people who can't see it. I would wager most people can't see it, actually. Like, I don't know the numbers on people with this, like, weird ability to see infrared, like that end of the spectrum, but I would wager it is a deeply, deeply insignificant percent of the general human population. People who can't see it? Meaning pretty much everyone except me. Yeah, there you go. I'm the only person I found who can see this hologram's image. Well, I thought I was the only one who could see it. But you know, I just met someone who can also see this image. Sarah put out the lighter. The darkness came rushing back. She flicked the light on again and put it out. She repeated this action a few times. Then Sarah finally spoke. Kid, I'm talking about you. My scar ached. The old scar on my left thumb. Why is it? How come you can see it too, kid? Huh? Why do you think? Sarah looked upward into my eyes. She pushed the pendant and the lighter against my cheek. Will you look at it again? I took them from her. Striking the flame, I looked closer at the pendant. A weak 3D image rose dimly before me. It was a man who I hadn't even seen before. Looking at it this closely, I realized that a piece from the mirror was missing. A scar on my thumb, a piece to be filled in. I started to suspect the truth of the matter. Do you remember anything? Does anything about this ring a bell? No, not really. I started to realize, but I shook my head. My scar was itching as if an electric current was running through it. Oh. Sarah dropped her shoulders in disappointment. The man in the image? I have a feeling he's my dad. What? You think he's your father? Yep. Me and my brother's dad. Daddy! Daddy! Hey, Dad! Daddy, why won't you listen to me? Well, let me tell you. Because I'm not your dad, that's why. I think it's okay for a girl to call someone who reminds them of... I think it's okay for a girl to call someone that who reminds them of their dad. It's written in the preamble of the Constitution or something. You know what? I don't think it is. But I am not a, history scholar. Could not necessarily tell you the preamble of the Constitution off the top of my head, so I guess I'm just gonna have to take your word for it. Wow, the Founding Fathers really thought of everything. You don't say. Well, I've got 3 things to tell you. First, as far as I know, not one line in the Japanese Constitution corresponds to what you just said. Oh, the Japanese Constitution, yeah, that one I definitely don't know off the top of my head. I probably should, given that I took a class in Japanese history less than 6 months ago, and I believe the Japanese Constitution was featured. I believe there was a question on the final on it. I might have even gotten that question right, but I could not tell you anymore what it was. It's like post-World War II, maybe? Yeah, no. You lost me. Or I lost me? The Japanese Constitution lost me. Second, I'm not even close to being fatherly. Third, you've already got a dad, who is still alive and well. So stop calling me Daddy, Coco. Yeah, that strikes me as a little bit sketchy. Like, somebody could very easily get the wrong idea about their relationship status. Oh, come on. I want to call you Daddy. Come on, can't I? Forget it. I'm already taking a big hit with this stupid nickname, Takepyon. Don't make me put up with another one like Daddy on top of that. You're so mean, Daddy. Just told you not to call me that. Coco growled as she glared at me. But I wasn't going to give in either. Coco and I stood face to face, with each other on the verge of an outburst. As we stood there, I just couldn't help thinking to myself, how in the world did I end up in this situation? We would all like to know that, Takeshi. I think we would all like to know that. It had all happened 30 minutes earlier. Hey, Takepyon. Wake up. I can't go to sleep. Let's play or something. As she was saying this, Coco shook my body hard, pried open my eyelids, and poured salt water into my eyes, and even shoved hydrogen peroxide up my nose. Wow, Coco's actually just evil. Like, I thought she was adorable, but no, she's actually just Satan incarnate. Giving in to her dogged persistence, I reluctantly decided to keep her company. Like, there are things that you fuck with and things that you don't fuck with, and like, a man's sleep falls firmly in the second category. Coco's still growling at me. You're gonna let me call you Daddy. She was just being outrageous. If you won't, I'm gonna bite you. What is wrong with this child? Like, seriously, what is wrong with her? I feel like she's old enough that, like, threatening to bite people should, like, register as, like, not a thing that you do in polite company. Snap! Coco chomped down on my arm. Oh, and she actually did it, too. What is wrong with this child? Amusingly, this is actually, like, one of the big problems I had with a certain magical index. Where, like, the titular index was, like, just completely obnoxious for the entire runtime. And the gag in which she bites the protagonist got really old really quickly. So I hope that this trend dies down, like, now? Because, biting is, like, not funny. It hurts. Ouch! I can't believe you actually bit me! I forcefully pried her face off of my arm. There were teeth marks on my arm, and the area started to turn a purplish red. Oh, believe it! I mean, I'm willing to concede that that might be, like, plot relevant, like maybe the, transfer of saliva and blood, like, maybe hastens the onset of teeth blau. So, this scene might be, like, relevant? In which case, I'm probably willing to forgive it, but, like, it's a weird bit of characterization. Like, I feel like if I was writing a story and I made a character bite another character for no good reason, it would be, like, for the express purpose of making them unlikable, right? But we're supposed to like Coco, I think. Like, she's supposed to come across as adorable. And I think biting people crosses the line from adorable to just actually rude. But maybe my sensibilities are different than that of the general public. Maybe biting is considered adorable in some parts of the world. I guess I'll never know. Coco covered her mouth with her fist and giggled triumphantly. Why on earth do you want to call me Daddy anyway? Because you seem like the daddy type to me. You are telling me, after you trapped me into this, that a 20-year-old guy like me seems like the daddy type? You telling me I look old? No. I just kind of thought you did somehow. Also, is this like foreshadowing? Is like Takeshi someone's dad? Or is Coco just going off the deep end? You just thought I did somehow, huh? Well then, are you trying to say that your dad and I are alike? Nope, not at all. My dad is a lot better looking than you. Smarter too. Wow! Rude! This girl's like villainy knows no bounds. Like first she bites him and then she shit talks him. I'm almost impressed. I should have been yelling at her by then, but I just couldn't bring myself to get angry with her. Because all the while, Coco was dancing around like crazy, shaking her hips and waving her arms in front of me. I guess you could say I was too distracted to be angry with her. Wow. Her techniques are so powerful. By the way, you said your dad's on a business trip right now, didn't you? Yep. Where'd he go? He's at a research laboratory under the ocean. A research laboratory under the ocean? There's a research laboratory called EBF or something down below Limu. My dad's a researcher there. Oh, but you've got to keep it a secret, okay? Wow. Good job keeping confidential information under close wraps, Coco. I don't know why, but for some reason it didn't surprise me. As a matter of fact, it seemed perfectly logical to me. It felt as if I'd already known about it. Okay, so now Takeshi's having weird premonitions as well. I was wondering how much overlap there was going to be in Takeshi and the kid's like weird knowledge of the situation, given that it had already been established that the kid has like some degree of weird premonition stuff going on in his regular routes, and Takeshi didn't really have any. So I was curious if they were going to start introducing those elements to Takeshi's half of the story. And it looks like they are. It was just a feeling, but then you must be worried, right? I mean, about your dad. I asked Coco. Why? Well, I mean... Oh, I got it. You thought my dad might be trapped here like us, didn't you? But don't worry, he's fine. I know he got out safely. What? How do you know that? I just do. Because I'm psychic. What? Well, it's kind of like telepathy, or clairvoyance, or precognition, or postcognition. Huh? Anyway, my dad's okay. Okay, first of all, if you're right, that's kind of interesting because that's, like, not how it went down the first time around. Second of all, if you're, like, not lying about your superpowers, like, that is the most anticlimactic reveal ever. I can just feel it. Coco had a big smile on her face. She was still performing her wacky dance. What else? Oh yeah, I can bend spoons too. I can tell a spoon to, like, come on, just give in and bend, and it does. Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm not sure if Coco's, like, full of shit, or, like, casually, like, dropping bombs on us. You wanna know why I can do that kind of stuff? I'm actually a Solarian, person from the sun. Okay, yeah, now I don't believe you anymore. I was with you with, like, bending spoons. I was with you up until that point, but from the sun is up, I think, about where I crossed the line, or draw the line, rather. Now I'm pretty sure you're just full of shit. I was, like, leaning that way before. I was, like, more than 50% sure that she was, like, not on the level, but, like, yeah, now I'm pretty sure. A Solarian is born with psychic abilities. That's why. But my dad and mom are Earthlings. I'm the only Solarian here. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Are you implying that, like, your mom and dad, like, took a trip to the sun to conceive you? Because that sounds like a lot of work. Like, a lot of work. Like, I recognize that giving your daughter psychic powers is, like, a pretty solid payoff, right? But, like, taking a trip to the sun? Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work. And also, you probably die. You, like, definitely die. Oh, I see. Wow, that's great. I couldn't find anything else to say. The powerful microwaves that Coco produced had shaken my brain and fried it. My consciousness started becoming hazy, as if I'd been in bed for 3 days with a high fever. I love the sun because I'm a Solarian. When I bathe in the rays of my homeland, I get all warm and toasty inside. Ah, I wish I could see the sun. Wish I could sunbathe. Okay, now I'm back to not being sure about, like, how much of her story is, like, complete bullshit, and how much of it is, like, an overly fanciful interpretation of, like, actual superpowers she has. Like, again, it could just go either way. She might be, like, actually has some degree of psychic powers, or she might be full of shit and possibly crazy. Like, with Coco, I just don't have any idea anymore. Hey, Takepyon, I want to go sunbathe. Well, it's kind of hard to do that right now. I know, but I want to. We haven't seen the sun for 3 days, you know? Don't you want to sunbathe, Takepyon? I mean, I'm from Seattle. I haven't seen the sun in years. I tried to imagine. A high, clear blue sky, a nice May breeze, horizon, the sun shimmering on the ocean surface. It'd only been 3 days, but for some reason the scenery from the world outside felt so far away. I couldn't wait to go outside. Outside, to the surface. Yeah, now that you mention it, I do want to sunbathe. We just don't have that option right now. Besides, it's midnight anyway. No! I want to sunbathe! I want to! Alright, we can do it tomorrow. Someone will probably have rescued us by then anyway. No, I want to do it right now! Right now! Sunbathe, sunbathe, sunbathe! Coco! There was no way I was going to let this outburst go. I gave her a look that said, I'm about to get pissed. And Coco responded with, Oh, alright. I won't ask anymore. Her shoulders drooped sadly. Instead, let's what? Let's play chicks! Do I want to know? That's a rhetorical question, by the way. I, like, definitely don't want to know. I mean, I want to know to advance the story, but at the same time, I really don't want to know. What? Let's play chicks! Play chicks! Pee 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 pee! Play chicks! Play chicks! Poo 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 poo! Earth to Coco. Would you mind telling me what you're talking about? Okay, I'll explain. Playing Chicks is an elegant aristocratic game developed in 1648 by Louis the 14th of France. The rules are simple. All you have to do is imitate a chick and walk around. That was actually going to be my first guess. But, like, I figured it was too stupid for it to, like, actually be the answer. But I now realize that I have Coco and Takeshi in a room together, so, like, there is no upper bound on the level of stupidity that can be reached. I realize that now. We've reached a new low in brain cells in one room. Like, we're hitting negative numbers here, ladies and gentlemen. The winner is the one that mimics a chick or becomes the most like a chick. The person who acts most like a chick wins. What is wrong with this child? Like, do we need to check her into a mental hospital or something? Like, was she dropped on her head recently? I feel like I should be deeply concerned for her well-being. And that's what playing Chicks is all about. A few minutes later. This is what we get a CG of? Really? This is the world we live in. Okay. Okay. P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. P-O-P-O-P-O. What am I reading? Somebody save me. P-O-P-O. P-O-P-O-P-O. P-O-P-O-P-O. P-O-Yo, P-O-Yo, P-O-P-P-O. P-O-Yo, P-O-Yo, P-O-P-P-O. P. P. Dear Father and Mother, how is everything with you? I'm currently playing Chicks 102 feet under the surface of the ocean. Playing Chicks is an elegant game developed by Louis the 14th. Win if you can mimic a chick the best. You flap your arms like wings and peck at garbage that has fallen in the corridors. Sometimes you even trip and fall like a cute newborn baby chick to compete to see who looks the most like a chick. The sounds used basically consist of 3 sounds, P, yo, and But as you get better, flap, 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 furu, 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 poso. You can use imaginative sounds and even express yourself with various little chickadee gestures. Since I'm only a beginner, I can only use of P, yo, so far. But I'm working hard to become a full-fledged chick. No, I mean, a full-fledged chicken like Mom and Dad. Pyo-yon, P-O-P! I am learning from an excellent teacher. Oh, I don't know why, but I'm shedding tears. Pyo, 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 pyo. My teacher is encouraging me. I'm alright. I'm fine. Pyon, 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 pyon. My teacher wags her hips left and right as she walks. Sometimes she even flips her hips up in the air. She is the epitome of chickness. Father, Mother, my teacher is the best chick mimic in Japan. No, in the world. Oh, but teacher, you didn't have to take a dump in the middle of the floor. You know, every day, we stray further from God's light. Pyo! Pyo! Teacher is angry with me. It's because I spoke the human language. Pyo yo 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 yo! That meant I'm sorry in Czech language. Pyo yo 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 yo! Pyo yo 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 yo! It must be very hard for you two to imagine your own son playing Chicks 102 feet under the ocean. Or I suppose you probably don't even believe that I'm doing this in the first place. But I suppose I can't blame you. I wouldn't have never dreamed I would be in this situation up until 3 days ago. How interesting life is. How sad we humans are. Oh, there I go crying again. Before the ink on the paper starts to run, I will put down the pen. Well, dear Father and Mother, please take care of yourself. P.O. 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 That was the end of our game of Chicks. I probably needn't mention it, but Coco won the game. Coco shouted with happiness and flashed a triumphant smile. I won! I won! Anyway, thankfully it was over. I exhaled a long sigh of relief. Can I go back to talking in my, normal intonation now? Please, God. I need an adult. Are you happy now? Let's get some sleep now. Okay. Coco and I started to walk. Coco walked holding my hand. Her hand was so very small. Daddy, huh? I thought to myself, Please don't tell me you're, like, actually warming up to this idea, because it's still just as creepy as it was the first time around. Coco had wanted so bad to call me Daddy, but it seemed that she had forgotten all about it. Excellent! And that's just the way it should be, and if you don't mention it again, she might not either. I was relieved. Me too. But at the same time, I felt a bit lonely. Not me too. Daddy, huh? I repeated the words to myself again. You know, you can stop now. We're done with this train of thought? I had mixed feelings. I didn't. Coco and I went to the infirmary hand in hand. It was Coco's turn to use the bed in the infirmary tonight. We were outside of the door. For some reason, Yu was standing there. I saw you guys. Yu had a grin on her face. And now, Takeshi, you'll never be able to live this down. Ever. P.O., huh? What was that all about? Oh, I'm embarrassed just thinking about it. Of course, the one who was embarrassed was me. Burning hot blood surged up from the pit of my stomach to my head. All of a sudden, my face felt like it was engulfed in flames. And just think, you wouldn't have the opportunity to experience such exciting emotions if you hadn't played this game of chicks. Man, think of the opportunities you would have missed out on. Your life would just be empty and, incomplete. I don't know what the heck you're talking about. Right, Coco? I know what she's talking about. See, Coco, you're not helping. You think you're helping, but you're not helping. Ah! You're talking about how we were playing chicks, right, Nakyu? If you were watching, you should have joined us. Huh? Nah, I'm glad I passed, thanks. Why? I don't know, it's just, Oh, I know, we can play another game right now. What if? And, I'm just, throwing ideas at the wall to see if it sticks. But, like, what if, instead of doing that, we did literally anything else? Like, go to sleep. Now? No, it's alright, really. Besides, it's really late, you know? Well, I suppose you're right. You wiped away the sweat that had appeared on her forehead with the back of her hand. Oh well. I suppose I'll wait until tomorrow then. Oh god, the ride never ends. Please, Mr. Skeleton? Mr. Bones. Please, Mr. Bones, I want off of your wild ride. Please, Miss Coco, I want off of your wild ride. Tomorrow? Yahoo! I get to play chicks with Nakyu tomorrow! Coco ran off to the infirmary, gesturing like a chick. You and I were left standing there. We stared at each other. Well, you see she has fun, okay? Are you serious? I'm serious. I am not really into that kind of stuff. Excellent! Nobody is. Except apparently Coco. But you have been chosen by the Council of Elders and by the cruel whims of fate to accompany her on her destination, to be the greatest chick there ever was. This is an honor bestowed on only a few chosen, but you, guess it's just your lucky day. Me either. Yu was frowning, but her face started to soften as I watched. Yu was trying hard not to laugh by pressing her hand on her mouth. She was probably recalling my antics from earlier. I had a bad feeling. Hey, Yu, I've got a favor to ask. Can you just, forget what you saw tonight? How do you expect me to forget that? Well, I suppose. Then you don't have to forget it, but would you at least keep it a secret from Tsugumi, Sora, and the kid? Well, guess I could keep quiet about it, at least for a while. What do you mean for a while? You never know when it might come in handy. What do you know? She wanted to use it to blackmail me. Clever girl. So anyway, Takeshi, you get my drift, right? You patted me on the shoulder and walked away. I had no idea what she would ask of me, but I knew she had me where she wanted me. Of any of the 5 people that could have seen us, she was the worst. That's probably true, actually. Although in fairness, like, Sora could see him at any moment. Right? Like, she just checks the logs. And then she will find something deeply interesting in that corridor. I shook my head with a sigh and opened the infirmary door. It was dark inside the room, and I could barely see anything. Still, I heard the breathing of 3 sleeping people. Although I couldn't see any of them, I could tell who was sleeping where. Tsugumi, who was injured, was sleeping on the bed at the end of the room. The kid was sleeping on the examination table. Coco was using the bed in the middle, which meant that I would be sleeping in the decompression chamber under the infirmary. About 90 minutes earlier, I'd actually been sleeping there before Coco shoved hydrogen peroxide up my nose. You, it seemed, had lined up some chairs in the conference room and gone to sleep on them. Okay then. I headed toward the lift in the back of the room. I stopped briefly to check in on Coco. I went up to the bed in the middle of the room. Although she'd been so excited a little while earlier, Coco seemed to be in a deep sleep already. I suppose she's exhausted from all that playing. Coco rolled over and scratched her cheek with her fingers. Her blanket had slightly fallen off of her. Fixing her covers, I touched her hair gently. Coco mumbled softly in her sleep. Daddy. I didn't know which dad she was referring to, but I couldn't help smiling. Daddy. Daddy. Brother. What? I'm so cold. Please, let me out of here. Help me. Brother? So wait, is Takeshi your brother? That doesn't make sense though, because Takeshi doesn't have amnesia, so if he had a sister, he would presumably know about it. Also, Takeshi didn't mention anything about his dad working at IBF, which means presumably his dad is a different person than Coco's dad. Oh right, and they have different last names. Like, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense for Takeshi and Coco to be siblings. I guess Coco could still be Sarah, because they never show up at the same time. But, like, not sure how you pull that one off. I believe it involves a lot of hair dye. Help me. Brother. Oh, wait. Wait a minute. No, never mind. I lost it. Like, I had, like, the beginnings of an idea that involved Coco and Sarah. So we know that Sarah was like being experimented on by Lieblich White, right? And she presumably had more weird-ass superpowers than the kid did, because they were more invested in experimenting on her than the kid. Like, the kid they just let sort of roam free, whereas Sarah they kept locked up God knows where. So I was thinking, what if one of the things that Sarah has going on is she has contracted Cure, and at some point they cut her in half, but then the theory started to break down. Or did it? I was about to say the theory starts to break down because that would require the like roots to be sort of happening simultaneously, but it doesn't, right? And like then it makes sense for Coco to be younger than Sarah because I think we've sort of soft established that Takeshi's roots take place before the kids, just because of the kid's age. So you could very easily have a setup where, so originally Sarah gets a, oh no, but then you still have the issue of like Coco has an actual dad. Although they never showed Mr. Yagami's face on screen, interestingly. And Sarah never interacts with him, right? So, in fact, like the pendant and Mr. Yagami never show up in the same route, which means that might be Mr. Yagami in the pendant, which would make my Sarah and Coco used to be the same person theory make a lot of sense. I keep going back to this theory about people getting cut in half and then having 2 of them. And like, maybe I shouldn't be as focused on that as I am, because it was like speculation off of like a one-off line about like rats in Tsugumi's route. So it's entirely possible that nothing's going to come of it. It's not something that's been like heavily foreshadowed to, but it is something that it has been established that the setting can support. Right? And I feel like that, I guess, in and of itself, it's like a good enough explanation for some percent of the weird stuff that's going on that, like, the fact that the setting, like, explicitly allows for it means it's at least worthy of consideration. But yeah, that's... I guess that's sort of going to be my like, dominant theory going forward, is Coco and Sarah used to be the same person. They got the big bisectums from Lieblich, then got separated. They might not even know the other one exists. But then that would make both of them the kid's sister. There's still a little bit of trouble there with the different last names. Like, Coco's last name is Yagami and Sarah's last name is Matsunaga. But given how little Sarah knows about her parents, it's possible that Matsunaga is not her, like, birth last name. It's also possible that Coco doesn't know. I was about to say it's possible that Coco doesn't know that this all went down, and she, like, got adopted by the Yagamis, and then just thinks that they're her actual parents. But I guess my theory about the pendant means I don't even have to go that far. Like, then I guess the timeline would go something along the lines of Kid and Sarah get separated from their parents at a young age, get tossed in the orphanage or whatever. Then Kid and Sarah get picked up by Lieblich. Kid gets sort of cut loose. Then Lieblich does the big chop 'em ups, and then I guess gives Coco back to their birth parents. But it works either way. Like, right, my theory works whether or not Coco is related to our friend Mr. Yagami downstairs or not. Right? It just becomes, like, the pieces start to fall together a little bit more cleanly if we assume, or if we assume that Mr. Yagami is the same person as is depicted in the pendant. I guess a slight knock against that sort of theory is that you would think that the kid, like, his weird precognition would have picked up on it by now, because the kid in Takeshi's Roots did interact with that Mr. Yagami, but maybe not. He like isn't getting a huge amount of information, and it seems to be sort of chronologically locked. Like, he had the dream about Tsugumi getting injured in the warehouse at about the same time it was actually happening. So it's possible that he, like, doesn't know about things that are going on in Takeshi's Roots until they sort of, like, line up chronologically. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyways, that's about where I'm at as far as, like, theory crafting goes at the moment. Brother. Huh? Brother. What is it, Sarah? It'd been over 12 hours since Sarah started calling me brother. The swelling of Sarah's eyelids had just started to fade, but her eyes were still watered. About 12 hours ago, Sora had told us the truth. Oh, right, because Sora did the bioscan, so she actually knew that they were siblings. Right, I'd forgotten about that. That's funny. Even since seeing the hologram in the whale room, I'd kind of sensed it. Sarah was my sister. Maybe I'd already known it from when I saved Sarah in the elevator. Maybe I just pretended not to realize when in fact I really had. It was strange, but I didn't quite understand the details of my own mental state. Because it almost felt like the person who had caused me to pretend... was a me that wasn't really me. If that made sense. I knew I had to find out the truth from the moment I'd seen the pendant in the whale room, especially after I noticed it had a missing piece. I could tell Sarah felt the same way. I didn't know from exactly what point she started wondering if I was her brother. Looking back on it, there were many times she might have hinted at it. But all those moments it had seemed to me that she was half joking. The moment that everything came together was when I saw the image in the hologram. Because I had been able to see something that nobody else could. But still, both Sarah and I weren't certain when we had been in the whale room. We needed definite proof. That was why we went to visit Sora, even though it was late at night, to have her surgically remove the fragment from my thumb. Since Sora wasn't able to perform the actual operation, we decided to wake up you. At first you had no idea what we were talking about, but as soon as she understood the situation, she willingly agreed to help. As we expected, the piece removed from my thumb had matched the missing part in the pendant exactly. What's more, when we exposed the piece to infrared light, an image of the same man in the pendant came up. According to Sora, unlike a regular pattern, a hologram shows the whole image in a part. With a picture, it would be impossible to see the whole picture with just one piece of it. But with a hologram, it's possible to generate the whole image even from a tiny piece. That's one of the special properties of a hologram. Now, let me explain a little bit about the infravision. Usually, the visible range for humans is limited to light with a wavelength of between 380 nanometers to 780 nanometers. Light with a wavelength longer than 780 nanometers is called infrared. Normal humans can't see light in this range. If you were able to see infrared, you'd be able to sense the temperature of an object without actually touching it. And with this ability, you could also see in the pitch dark even without any light. Infrared rays are emitted from all objects that have a temperature. Stronger light is emitted from warmer objects, and weaker light is from objects with a lower temperature. By sensing those things, you can tell the location and shape of an object in the darkness. Surprisingly, Sarah and I were told that we had the ability called infravision. Since we had this ability naturally, it was difficult for us to imagine not being able to sense the temperature, or to imagine complete darkness. But I realized something then. That was why I had noticed heat emanating from the generating room door, and that was why I had mistaken the light from the inverter unit as moonlight. That was why Sarah and I were able to see the 3D image in the pendant, which nobody else could see. Why'd we have this ability? I had no idea. Sora explained to us that it was a special ability passed on genetically. Genetics. This also means it was highly possible that Sarah and I had the same parents. But, like, in Sarah's route, they just ran the scan with the LMRI or whatever, and were like, yep, you two have the same DNA. Congratulations. Or something to that effect. I wasn't paying that much attention. To the specifics, at least. That's when it became almost certain that Sarah and I were brother and sister, but still, something seemed to be missing. We took a DNA test with the repaired LMRI. Yeah. We took a DNA test with the repaired LMRI. Yeah, okay, this is what I was talking about. The results showed that Sarah and I were blood relatives with a 99.9999999% certainty. That had proven everything. And when that happened, memories of my childhood started to flood back. They rocked me like an explosion. All the memories that had been dammed up flooded out at once, their bombardment rendering me unconscious again. When I regained consciousness, Sarah was next to me. Sarah, my one and only sister. Not if my theory is correct. We were fraternal twins. I recalled the bittersweet memories of the days we had spent together. Brother. Yep. Brother. Yes, Sarah? We hadn't slept at all since the day before. We had spent a long half-day talking about all sorts of things. The memories of our childhood. And our time at the hospital as well, of course. How I hadn't kept my promise. Couldn't keep my promise. I'd sworn to her that I would come to get her. Sarah and I took a long time going over and understanding all of the details. There was too much to talk about. A half-day was hardly enough to restore the missing time. But Sarah and I didn't need many words anymore. Brother. Yes, Sarah? With just these words, we could understand each other. Sarah put her head on my shoulder and closed her eyes gently. I sang her favorite lullaby. Moon sprite shouldering a long bow, waiting inside a dream. Tonight a story by moonlight, hoping the wait will be short. Sleeping curled and snug, sleeping in mother's arms. Moon sprite shouldering a long bow, waiting inside a dream. Tonight a story by moonlight, hoping the wait will be short. Sleeping curled and snug, sleeping in mother's arms. Clap, clap, clap. You got a great voice, Coco. I know I do, don't I? I've never heard that song before. Is it a lullaby or something? Yeah, it's a lullaby. My mom used to sing it to me. So I guess that song has a lot of good memories for you. No. No, it doesn't? No, I just learned this song. Oh, really? Their voices were coming from the kiosk. I went in. Hey! Oh, Takepyon. Ow, ow. Takeshi, what are you doing here? Oh, I just thought I'd see what you looked like playing chicks. Yep, that was the reason I'd gone searching for them, and eventually wound up at the souvenir shop. Oh, we finished playing that a while ago. No, our counter-blackmail material! What? No way! Nakia was so good at it. Compared to me, she was so much more like a real chick. I was just amazed. Oh, stop it. You're just trying to embarrass me with compliments. It's true! You're really, really good. You, who had seemed so against the game to begin with, was embarrassed once she was complimented. What on earth was going on? Had she actually enjoyed the game? Speaking from the standpoint of somebody who had experienced it, the game Chicks did seem to possess a kind of ritualistic, demonic charm that could subdue the human ability to be rational. It seemed to me that you might have been possessed by that charm. Oh well, it wasn't important. What was important was somehow I had missed out on seeing a historical moment, Yu's wacky performance. It was truly unfortunate. Darn it. I mentally clicked my tongue. So, what you doing now? You should be able to tell by looking at us. Coco and Yu were sitting face to face on the carpet. Phoebe had set his face on Coco's head. Between the two of them was a mountain of small, bead-like bead-like grains. A pen was stuck at the top of the mountain. A game of avalanche with a mountain of sand? That's right. No, Nakyu, that's not right. What? This is a mountain of tears. It's a mountain of tears, not sand. Mountain of tears? I sat next to them and pinched a single grain from the mountain. Oh, I remember. Coco's throwing these into the puddle at the ruins yesterday. Clear, colorless grain. They were formed in the shape of a drop of water. Glass tears. No, they weren't made of glass. I could tell by touching them. You never told me what they were yesterday, did you? So, I guess I'll try again. What are they? They're mermaid tears. Mermaid tears? Coco closed her eyes and nodded. I don't care what you say, there's no way these are real mermaid tears. Oh yeah? Saying this, you pointed to the display racks of the souvenir shop. I stood up and walked toward where you had pointed. The racks were packed with different kinds of merchandise, including, presumably, teardrop-shaped glass beads being marketed as mermaid tears. Among all the stuff, there was a corner with a line of old-looking ceramic bottles. I picked up one of the bottles and looked at it. It was slightly bigger than the size of my palm and heavier than I had imagined. It felt solid in my hand. Printed on the label was mermaid tears. I looked on the bottom of the bottle. I looked on the bottom of the bottle. There was a round stamp on it. Contents, candy. Oh, you can eat them. What fun! Ingredients, sugar, corn syrup, acidifier, flavoring. I shook the bottle. I heard a dry, crisp sound. Pulling out the cork top, I poured out some on my palm. I poured too much, and some of them spilled from my hand to the floor. The mermaid tears bounced on the carpet as if they were dancing. I see. Holding the bottle in my right hand and teardrops in my left, I went back to where I had been sitting before and plopped myself down with a thud. So these mermaid tears are just some kind of souvenir? Yep. Let's see. Mumbling to myself, I popped all the teardrops from my left hand into my mouth. I chomped down on them hard. A melting sweetness spread in my mouth. These are good! It had been a long time since I'd tasted anything besides a chicken sandwich. I had heard somewhere before that eating sweets makes people feel happy. That's the dopamine talking. And at that moment, I was enraptured by the sweetness in my mouth. Oh my god. You shouldn't have done that. I'm gonna tell on you. Why? Is it because I'm eating them for free? Well, you are too, Coco. No. That wasn't what I meant at all. Didn't you say the teardrops of a mermaid, didn't you, Takapyeon? Yeah, I did. And I'm gonna eat more. If you do that, you'll end up like the 800-year-old nun. Who? 800-year what? You and I looked at each other. You don't know the story of, Yaobikuni, the 800-year-old nun? Do you know what she's talking about, you? Nope, not a clue. Alright, then I, Coco, will tell you the story of the 800-year-old nun. Hey, don't forget the applause. Clap, clap, clap. Okay, it starts like this. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful young girl who was 17 years old and she loved camellia flowers. She also had a very handsome boyfriend. And he was about her same age, I think he was at least. Anyway, one day he gave her a camellia flower as a gift and said, "This flower is for you." Oh my, what a beautiful flower this is. Yeah, this flower sure is pretty, but you're even more beautiful. Even a million of these flowers wouldn't be as pretty as you. Oh, you are such a sweet talker, you. Hey, I'm not just trying to flatter you, I'm telling the truth. Oh, sweetheart. My love. They were so passionately in love that they could talk this way in public and they wouldn't even be embarrassed about it. Well, one day, the girl's dad, his name was Ganta, went driving into the ocean. He did that because this old guy who lived in the ocean was like, "Hey Ganta, I'm having a home party, wanna come?" and invited him to a party. Mr. Ganta arrived in the most gorgeous mansion he'd ever seen in his whole life. But strangely, he was able to breathe once he got inside. Well, that's a relief to all of us. Oh, good to see you, Ganta, the old guy welcomed him. Ganta had a gourmet dinner and a wonderful time. But eventually it came time for him to go home. Ganta said, "I'm real sorry, but I've got to go home soon." The old man who lived under the ocean said, "Huh, you're leaving so soon? That's too bad. My daughter's waiting for me at home. I'll come again sometime soon, okay?" Oh, and his perception of time got fucked. So then his daughter went from being 17 to 800? Is that the punchline? Oh, well, hey, why do you take this for a souvenir? The old man handed him a bottle of something that looked like alcohol. What's this? Asked Gonta. The old man answered with a big smile. It's mermaid tears. Gonta went home and hid the souvenir in the cabinet. And, a few days later, an incident took place. While Gonta wasn't home, his daughter secretly opened the cabinet and drank all the liquid in the bottle. Uh-oh. What are the odds that this ends well? Like, -%? It was so delicious that the girl drank the whole thing up. And, after that, the girl stopped aging at all. A year had passed, then 2, and then 3. After 5, 10, and 20 years, the girl still was the same beautiful self. She had a body that would never age. Eternal youth and longevity has always been a dream and a hope for humans, but it wasn't the case for this girl. She lamented and cursed her own fate. Because she stayed at the age of 17, but her boyfriend grew older and older. One day an incident happened that was very sad. Her boyfriend passed from this world to the next at the tender age of 34. It's young. Before he died, he said to her, "Wait for me for 700 years. After 700 years has passed, I'll be reborn into this world and come to you." The girl cried and cried. Boy, did she just cry and cry. After a while, because she was so sad at losing him, she decided to leave on a long trip. Wait, 17? Is this a story about Tsugumi? Or is it just like a coincidence because the authors really like the number 17? Oh yeah, speaking of which, the other day I was like trying to come up with another work that I thought had made good use of the repeated number scheme. And like I completely forgot about Lost. Lost is like one of the most iconic sets of numbers like I can think of, right? 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. But yeah, I don't know if like this is just 17 because that's a number they picked, or 17 because it's a story about Tsugumi. Yeah, I don't know. After a while, because she was so sad at losing him, she decided to leave on a long trip. She renounced the material world and decided to live her life as a nun. The nun traveled across the country. She cured the sick, helped the poor, did a little farming, built some bridges over rivers, and planted lots of camellia seeds. When the camellias grew mature, healthy, and started to flower, she would move on to another region and begin all over again, helping those in need. She continued living that way for hundreds of years. The reason she planted camellia seeds was as a way of giving direction to her boyfriend in case she came looking for her. She planted lots and lots of camellia seeds, so that when he was reborn into this world, he would know where she was. She hadn't given up hope. She had kept believing the whole time that her boyfriend's words would come true. At last, 700 years passed and she returned to her homeland. But there wasn't anyone who knew her anymore. With no place to live, she decided to enter a cave in the outskirts of the village. She planted many, many camellia seeds near the entrance. Before she entered into the cave, she told the villagers, "I will ring a bell at sunrise and sunset. If you stop hearing the bell, please just think that I have passed away." A year passed, then 2 and 3. After 5, 10, and then 20 years, her boyfriend still didn't show up. So what are we at now? Like 20 plus 20, or sorry, 20 plus like 700 plus like 34, so we're like 754 or something? 774 maybe? 30 years passed, then 40, and then 50 years passed. After 60, 70, 80 years had passed, her boyfriend still hadn't shown up. 800 years had passed since she was born. The bell finally stopped ringing. After all that time, her boyfriend had never appeared. Notable is that Coco and Pee-Pee are wearing bells right now. I don't know if that's, like, significant in any capacity, but, like, I feel like this story is going to end up being important in some capacity. I'm just not sure what yet. Like, I'm leaning towards interpreting it as like, a story about Tsugumi, but, like, could also be a story about bells. The camellias in front of the cave blossomed beautifully, never wilting for many years. I guess it could also be a story about, like, waiting for the kid to show up, either from Coco or Sarah's point of view. The camellias in front of the cave blossomed beautifully, never wilting for many years. People honored this brave and beautiful nun and prayed for her, and wished for longevity and happiness. And the people decided to call her Yao Bikuni, the 800-year-old nun. The end. Wait, what? That's a messed up story. Like, that was deeply unsatisfying. I'm not sure what to make of it, honestly. I guess I'll close the video so I have some time to mull it over. And in the meanwhile, I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I will be back on Monday with more Siren Simulator. Although I guess the Siren's over, so I guess I'm not playing Siren Simulator anymore. I'm back to playing Ever17. I'm not upset about this, actually. Later.